Hey, folks, you ever wonder if you are spending your marketing dollars wisely? Do you ever think that if you are spending your marketing dollars and you're not getting a return on investment, you ever think that it has to do something with the marketing? I can tell you, I've been doing this a long time, and 9 times out of 10, if your marketing is dialed in, exactly to how we are telling you how to do it, especially your digital marketing efforts, then it's 9 times out of 10, it has nothing to do with the marketing, but it has everything to do with your ability to close the sale. That is why I asked a very, very good friend of mine and special guest to come on the show, and so she can educate us. Now, she owns and operates a business and lifestyle company that offers intuitive and strategic guidance to spiritually aligned business owners who have woken up their calling and purpose and seek to expand a business that stokes their passion and operates as a vehicle for the impact they want to create with a life they love to live. Through intuitive mentorship and inspired strategy, she assists them in being fully expressed in the truth of their purpose. She serves seekers and the truth tellers in building and scaling service-based businesses that provide a lucrative container for the voice of their soul. Now, that is some very powerful stuff, and I am so excited for you guys because you are about to be blessed by one of the most best kept secrets when it comes to business building and sales that America has ever seen. So without further ado, episode 15 starts right now.
Hello, and welcome to Marketing Solutions for Local Businesses, the podcast where you will discover all the latest and greatest digital marketing tools, tips, and strategies you will need to implement in order to stay ahead of your competition. If you are not getting the results you are looking for from your digital marketing efforts, this is the podcast for you. And now, here's the host of our show, the local business guy himself, Frank Deming.
Hello, everyone. This is Frank Deming, the local business guy, and welcome to Marketing Solutions for Local Businesses. And today, as I said in the pre-intro, I have a special treat for you. I have someone who's not only a friend of mine, but is a business associate that I think is going to, I know is going to enlighten you into things that you need as local businesses, as small businesses, to equip yourself with. Because here's the deal. If you are spending marketing dollars and you're not closing deals with the marketing dollars you're spending, you're actually throwing money out the window. And my guest this beautiful afternoon, today is May 29th. As you know, this is episode 15 of Marketing Solutions for Local Businesses, is none other than the balance maven herself, Jennifer Flint. Why don't you say hello to everyone, Jennifer?
Well, thank you so much for having me. Hello, everybody. I'm really excited to be here and to support your tribe.
Not as excited as I am. Jennifer, before we get started, I have a few questions for you. But before that, I know I said I had a pre-intro and people kind of know who you are, but I want to hear it from your own words. Who is Jennifer Flint, and what's the whole balance maven thing about?
Well, thank you for that. As you said, I'm the balance maven, and really that kind of came about from a blend of my own personal experience and being able to fully use my gifts and talents. I believe that people should have, balance in their lives, whatever that looks like for them. Sometimes we go through periods of intentional imbalance, which while it by name alone sounds like it is an imbalance, it is a form of balance. And so I really like to help people guide through those times where they're being intentional about things being askew. But ultimately, my goal is to help all individuals have a business that creates a vehicle for the life they want to love to live. And I do that through both lifestyle management and business management. I have a really good strategic mind where I can really help people see themselves bigger than they see themselves in their business and in their passion and their craft. And we engineer a strategy to make sure that they reach that bigger version of themselves, all the while knowing that that version of them comes about not just through their work, but through who they get to be as a result of their work and the life they get to live as a result of a successful business. So I blend that an intuitive gift that I have with my really good strategic mind so that people get to really just live a very happy and full life and feel really professionally and personally fulfilled.
Okay, well that's good. I hope you guys got you captured certain things. She used a couple of keywords they hope you captured. And again, as I always tell people, I encourage you to not only download this episode, I want you to also take notes too and and keep hearing them over and over again, because it's very important that every time I have a guest on here is for a reason. It's really to help you guys. But this particular guest is completely tied into my business, because one of the problems that I have as a business owner, as a marketer, is um, teaching people that marketing and sales are separate things. And that's where Jennifer comes in, because Jennifer is a master at sales. She's a master at many other things, but sales is one of them. So it's essential that you guys take notes, because some of the key elements that she's going to talk about today, I'm sure, is going to help you tremendously. Now, Jennifer, in the intro, as you know, the topic of this conversation or this episode is opening the buyer's gate, or closing the deal. But I want to find out from you, for my listeners, what is the buyer's gate? What does that mean?
Well, that's a great question. And in my business, when I mentioned kind of at the beginning, when I help people really reach their personal and professional fulfillment through their business, I have 9 gates to business mastery. And one of those gates is focused on sales. And I probably put the most emphasis on that gate specifically in all of the gates that I teach, simply because if you don't have incoming clients, patrons, or paying customers or clients, then you don't have a business. So in order for people to have a really successful business, we have to make sure that they can convert leads to qualified buyers. And so I call it the buyer's gate, because ultimately it's the journey on which we're leading people from their very first point of finding out who we are to being able to be a paying patron of our business, and for us to really fully be able to serve them. So the buyer's gate is the experience that your prospective clients have from the moment they hear about you, to that being able to put their hand up and say, yes, that's something that I need, to then following along enough that they reach out and take an action to create a point of contact, whereby you then, somebody might say, close the deal. I like to call it open the relationship, and you begin serving them. And then, through that experience, also part of the buyer's gate is making sure that we fully get to experience their circle of influence as well. So we expand our reach by helping them bring friends and family to the table who also get to be served. So it's probably the most important gate in their whole business.
Well, that's true. Without that, like you said, you don't really have a business. I want to remind people, though, on this call that Jennifer is going to have a special gift that I want to talk to you about right now before we continue. Is she's got a free guide, 3 secrets to getting more people to say yes, even if you hate selling. But I'm going to give you a link to that in the show notes, so grab it there. But let me ask you something about that particular gift, because it's going to lead to my next question. What kind of businesses do you typically work with, Jennifer?
Well, primarily I serve people who are in service-based businesses, and that has a very, very broad range. I've helped people, on the side of the spectrum where they're in more of those kind of esoteric businesses of personal lifestyle and mentorship. all the way to the, the brick and mortar, very concrete things like construction companies and, professionals like CPAs and audiologists, doctors, spas, anything that's providing a service to their clients, whether it's a, more of a tactical service or a pragmatic service, or if it's more of a mindset, emotional, mental service, it doesn't really matter. It's just, if you're in the business of serving other people with your gift or talent, then those are primarily the people I work with. A little side note to that, I tend to most often work with people who have a high desire to be very spiritually or personally aligned. They want to be very fulfilled and connected to their business. So
Right.
oftentimes it's business owners who are very passionate about what they do, and they feel like they're answering a calling through that business.
Ah, okay. All right. No, that could be everybody though.
It really could. Well, and if you're providing a service, it can definitely be you.
Yeah, that's true. But I think a lot of times in my walks, in my entrepreneur journey, if you will, I've seen a lot of people really, really get more connected with their inner self and in their intuition as well, because I think that's key in a business. So that's interesting that you try to guide them through that. That's good.
Well, and I tend to, I certainly have some highly developed intuitive gifts where I have that ability to kind of tap into someone's higher self and hear what's not being said, or what most people comment is that I can articulate back to them the thought or the feeling or the experiencing that they were having, but that they couldn't put into words. And once we can concretize that, if that's a word, into words, people can really move from there. Like that now they
Right.
can get a hold of something that they couldn't previously fully get a hold of. And we can then strategize plans around that to bring that more into reality, which that's kind of the exciting part. So I'm so glad that you mentioned the intuitive piece, because I think for those kind of heart-centered entrepreneurs, those people that really have the heart of service,
Yeah.
that intuitive gut instinct or that alignment with your purpose is mission critical.
Right. That's true. Now I want to go back a little bit to when we talked about closing the deal. Because in the end of the day, we're in business to provide a service to our client, our current client, but also to make money. So if you don't have a way to close the deal or close the sale, or however you want to say it, I like the way you put it though, begin the relationship. That's an awesome way of putting it. But I'm just kind of curious, Jen, like what's a good percentage for like small business owners, like service-based business owners, that they need to shoot for in terms of closing, of a closing ratio, on cold traffic, because we all know that referred traffic is not the same. So
Agreed.
let's just assume you're getting cold traffic from the internet, which is my wheelhouse. What's a good thing for a guide for a business owner to shoot for?
So to your point, I love that you mentioned that we know that referrals are warmer traffic and that those percentages are different. I will also say some of this kind of depends upon your sales process and how you've engineered your system. But if we were to follow the system that I've created, I like to see cold traffic coming through and it going through, my sales mastery process from start to finish, where we're warming those folks up. I like to see 30% conversion. And the reason I say that is once we've gotten them as cold traffic to the point of a conversation, the expectation is that if we've done a good job with our system and our process and our copy and the experience we've created from them from the moment they put their hand up with a point of interest to the conversation, once they get to the actual conversation, the hope is they're not cold. I mean,
Right.
the hope is that they're warmed up a bit and that they've self-selected enough to say, I want to hear more. So I like to see entrepreneurs converting at 30% on the low end. And as your skills improve and your system gets tightened up, and your messaging is tight, then, we see that go up from there.
So you mentioned a system. So out of curiosity, so you're saying that in sales or in business, you think having a systematized process is key? Do you think that's important?
I do. I think that, consistency in our process leads to consistency in our results. And I think we need to create an experience for people. It's not enough that you check all the boxes. You have to create an experience for people that sets you apart from your potential competition
Right.
and lets people feel connected out the gate. And if you do a good job of that and you do it consistently, by the time they get to the phone conversation, you've warmed them up considerably. And if
Right.
you don't have a process, you don't have a consistently good experience. And it's kind of like throwing spaghetti at the wall. And that gets messy.
What would you say to people who say it's robotic? It seems robotic. This seems canned. It seems, having a system it doesn't work for them. What would you say to a negative person like that? Not to call them out.
Well, let's call them out in a loving way, because I think we've all been there. We've all,
Right.
especially when it comes to sales, we don't want to feel sleazy. We don't want to feel salesy. And anytime you introduce the idea, let's just say as a script, anything that's going to create a system or a structure, we automatically feel like that's going to mean that we have to be pushy, or that we're going to be mechanical or robotic in the experience. And really what I teach people is we have to have a system or process to give us the freedom to be present in the moment with our people. And if
Right.
you develop a skill set that you are confident coming to the conversation, and you have tools in your bag to be able to pull out at a moment's notice to serve the person who's sitting across from you, whether it be a screen or in person, you are going to be more in touch with their needs. You're going to be more connected to, their goals, and you're going to be more present in the moment.
Right.
So having the system allows you to actually be more present. And what I teach people to do is to use the system as guardrails or a guidepost, but to give them the confidence to be flexible within that experience, so that, again, they can create an experience for people. Because people don't, we've all heard the old adage, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. We have to have an experience that lets people feel like we care. Another little saying that somebody had said to me once, and actually I know this is a quote by somebody, I think it might actually be Maya Angelou, but people won't remember everything you say. They'll remember how you made them feel.
Yep. That's
So
my
I'm all
Angelo.
about engineering. Yes. I'm all about making sure there's an experience for people where they feel connected, because we know in
Yeah.
sales, people make a decision based on emotion, and then they're going to justify it with logic.
Right.
If you have a good system, you're going to create an experience that we can tap into their emotion to make sure they get what they want. And then that system is also going to help them justify with logic, because it's going to feel congruent, it's going to feel aligned, and it's going to feel like there's some expertise behind it, which is going to give them confidence.
Right. Right. Wow, that's awesome. I mean, I told you guys that you were in for you were in for a treat today, because this woman can bring it. She can bring it. As I've said this before, never in public, but Jennifer Flynn is America's best kept secret, and you're gonna see why before we end this interview. I'm
Thank
telling
you.
she's the bomb. Um, out of curiosity, Jennifer, because first of all, I got so excited about starting this interview, and I even forgot to ask you, are you staying safe? How are you doing? How's the family? Everything's good in your world, with this whole COVID thing?
Yeah, everything's great. I mean, I'm very blessed that that I have the gifts and talents that I do, and I've been very fortunate, especially during times of social unrest,
Right.
like now, that I've developed over the years, or cultivated, I guess, a very strong, healthy mindset of trust and faith. And I also, I'm very grateful that I can help other people navigate this in their businesses.
Yeah.
The fear around money, the fear around people investing. And what I'm finding is that people are still investing, and they're actually investing now more than ever, because now they have the time and the space and the bandwidth to think about these problems in their business. And now's a good time to solve them so that as we start creating our new normal, we can be at the top of our game, and we can really make sure that the people who are looking for us not only find us, but get served. And
Right.
personally speaking, I already homeschooled one child prior to COVID, and the other one had homeschooled prior to going to public high school. So our kids, coming home to school and leveraging the online um, curriculum and platform has not been a hardship for my family. And we're actually spending a little quarantine time at my family farm that I grew up on this
Awesome.
week. So I really can't complain. I feel very blessed. Thank you for
Awesome.
asking. I hope you
Yeah.
are weathering the storm as well.
Yeah, I'm weathering the storm. I'm kind of enjoying it because I get to reinvent myself, if you will, which is going to lead me to a question I had in mind that just popped up because of COVID. In your expertise, do you think that we all need to kind of like relearn, if you will, in terms of how we sell during the COVID era? Do you think it's necessary, or we just have to do business as usual? What's your take on that?
Well, I think that's an important question, and I think it's one that's being asked a lot. And in my experience, I don't think that we have to completely relearn. I don't think this is a throw the baby out with the bathwater and start fresh. What I do find is a couple of things. One, in some cases, the problem that your clients have has shifted. They are facing a different problem, and I think that our unique, and this is true for everyone, our unique gifts and talents and what we do can be pivoted
Right.
to still support them in a different perspective, and that we need to look for what those pain points are and know our ideal clients so well that we can pivot and move with them. But I'm going to say more often than that, what I'm really seeing is, and this is just my humble opinion, the problem isn't changing that much. The problem that you solve is still the problem that people have, but they are experiencing it through what I'm calling COVID goggles. And so the symptoms of their, right?
I don't want to. I don't. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I've got to tell you, Jennifer has the best analogies in the world. But anyway, okay, continue. Sorry to break your flow there.
No, it's all good. But if we think about, COVID goggles, the pain that they have, the problem that they have is still the problem that they have. Though the symptoms of that problem may have shifted because now they're looking through COVID goggles. So what our role is to determine what has this experience that the world is having created in their business that has shifted how they're perceiving or how they're experiencing their pain point. And we need to pivot our messaging. We might need to pivot how we approach their problem. We certainly need to pivot how we talk to them about their problem. And in my experience, if one of the things, and Frank, I know you've had this experience, one of the things that I teach are buyers types and really getting to understand the psychology of a buyer so that we aren't salesy and pushy and sleazy and we aren't using tactics as much as we are using connection and high service out the gate to help people move through that conversation. And when we understand the primary buyers types and also the persuasion switches that we need to flip for people to help them get what they want, then we can more easily adapt to how they're experiencing their pain point now, because we understand the psychology of these people at a deeper level. And these primary types, we all have all of them within us. We tend to lean towards one or two, and those one or two are going to be they're going to help you understand in a deeper way the filter that they have in those COVID goggles and how they're perceiving the problem. So I think, in my opinion, to sum that up, our flexibility comes in understanding our buyers and understanding what makes them tick and what's important to them. And then second to that, understanding how the symptoms of their pain may have shifted and speaking to those symptoms so that they understand that we get what they're going through and we can help.
Right. Okay. Well, that's good. I mean, I hope that helps people out there, because one of the reasons why I'm asking you that is because a lot of times clients of mine have come to me and they said, man, I got to redo this. I got to redo this and And a lot of the stuff that they were saying, I was like, we really don't have to redo, maybe tweak.
It's a 2-degree
But
shift.
yeah,
I
it's a
think it's just a
tweak.
2-degree
Yeah.
shift. And I think the other part to that is, in the spirit of that, I will say people's objections are going to make that same shift that their pain does. They're going to look at, they're probably going to have the same objections, but they're going to be feeling them from a different place. So one of the biggest things I'm helping clients navigate right now with COVID is that it's not that surprisingly, it is not that their prospective customers or clients are the ones that are saying, I don't have the money or I don't want to invest in that right now. What I'm seeing is an assumption made on the parts of my clients that because they would be afraid to spend money, or they're afraid that they're taking advantage of the public right now by continuing to sell, that they're buying into a story that hasn't even been created. It's a story they've created. And so one little thing that I've really been saying a lot lately is, when people asking me, like, I don't feel like I should be selling right now. I just don't, people are in pain and people are struggling. Well, do you think you should be serving right now?
Yeah.
And if you think you should be serving right now, then you sure as heck should be selling right now, because quite frankly, selling is serving. And so
Right.
anytime somebody's asking themselves that question of selling, I want them to insert the word serving, because right now people need what you have more than they ever have. And our job is to help navigate what objections they have so that they don't come the other side of this behind the 8 ball. Now
Right.
is when we should be doubling and tripling down, all of us, to serve, to
I
make
hear
an
you.
impact.
I hear you. It's funny you said that, because I actually have one last question for you, and it has to do with that. But before we get to that question, I want to ask you, can you tell us, tell my audience, what will they get when they download the free report, the 3 secrets to getting more people to say yes? What's in there? Give me some nuggets of what can they expect?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to talk about like the three, there's 3 big things that you need to be focused on right here and now. And one of the things I do talk about is the buyer's typing.
Okay.
And there's actually an opportunity there, if it speaks to them, where I've created a mini training program specifically to the buyer's types. Certainly going through my entire process, there's a lot of things in there to make sure you have a really quality experience. But I feel like everybody here and now needs to better understand those 4 types, simply because it will help you better understand you. It will help you get out of the trap of selling the way you like to buy.
Right.
The gold versus platinum rule. Many of us were raised with the golden rule, which is to treat others the way you want to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a bigger fan of the platinum rule, which is to treat others the way they want to be treated. That's
Right.
how we serve. And so one of the nuggets you're going to get from those 3 secrets is, I'm going to dive a little bit into the buyer's types, but you'll also have an opportunity, if it speaks to you, to get that mini course. And then following it, I'm going to send a little video series that's going to talk about the other gates in your business. So, the selling is really, in my opinion, the gate I put the most emphasis on, because it is the gateway to your business. But you're also going to have the opportunity to learn more about the other 9 gates that you want to be looking at to make sure that your business is balanced.
Awesome. Now that they're going to get this, I'm going to put this in the show notes, folks, but the link is the mavenfiles.com/3 secrets. And again, I'll put it on the link so you don't have to worry about it, but I just figured out, call it out before, in case you just want to write it down. Okay. So last question. And this is so funny because it's a perfect question for what you said prior to this. But so, you and I have known each other for a long time, and in that time frame, you've helped me tremendously over the years on objection handling. I'm still a work in progress. I'm by
Everyone
I'm by no means, at the stature of a Jennifer Flynn, but without giving away the farm, Jen, can you give us 1 or 2 Balance Maven style tips on objection handling. Something that someone can take away from listening to this and say, wow, let me try that. But don't give away the form, obviously, because I'm respectful of you. I mean, you're a businesswoman. I don't want you to, give away the form. And I got to be careful with you, so I have to make sure I mention that.
I was laughing to myself a little bit that you said don't give away the farm for two reasons. One, because I'm an over deliverer, and two, because I'm actually at the family farm right now. Literal and metaphorical.
That's one of the reasons why I mentioned farm. So
yeah, that's
you
so
know me
fun.
very well, my friend.
I love it. Well, here's a couple of things. I think what's really most important, and I will try to be succinct, because that of all the parts of my process, the objections are the one I get excited about most, because I've really worked hard over the course of my career to get good. To get good at the yes, you have to get good at the no. And so I've worked hard to get good at the no, because that's the part where I was always afraid that I was going to feel the sleaziest and salesiest. When somebody throws up the objection, our natural instinct is to lean out. And so this is the time that's most important of all times during a conversation with a prospective customer, client, or buyer, to lean in. And I think the most important thing for us to remember is that this is a dance. It's a dance of leaning in and leaning out. But your job is to be the lighthouse. Your job is to lead them. You have to take them through their pain to get the other side so that they can get the thing they want. And if you don't do that, you're not providing a service. You're actually creating a disservice. So if I were to narrow it down to a few tips that you can walk away with and make a difference today, one is a mindset and one is a strategy. And the mindset part, I really want you to look at objections as a gift. They are a gift that is being offered to you. And the more objections someone has, this seems counterintuitive, but it is directly proportional to their desire for what you have to offer. They are asking you to help them create logic around these pain points so that they can say yes. So when someone hands you an objection, they're offering you a gift. They're saying, help me figure this out. Help me. I've made an emotional decision to stay in this conversation with you. Help me create the logic that's required for me to say yes. So they are throwing these objections at you, not because they don't want what you have, but because they do and they want your help. So you have to treat an objection like a gift. And it doesn't mean unwrap it and then just look at the box. It doesn't mean unwrap it and look at the box and lift the lid and peek inside. It means you have to unwrap it, take the lid off the box, reach in, take the gift all the way out, admire it, look at it from all angles, and work through it. And so often we're afraid that means that's where we start to get pushy. And I want everybody to really understand that it is a gift and that you are being given a high honor to help them through this. And your job now more than ever is to lean into that space and help them figure it out. And I can teach lots of ways to do that so that you truly can stay anchored in service. And you know that you're taking a fierce and loving stand for their transformation or the results or the benefits that they want to get that only you can provide. But I think the first part in the mindset is to realize that it is an opportunity for you to really also showcase and give them a preview of the fierce and loving stand you're going to take for them in getting the results that you market that you get. The second one, I'm just going to drop a little verbal tool. And I have something called Secret Words that I've curated over years. I'm a big student of NLP. For folks who are not NLP enthusiasts and don't know what that is, it stands for Neuro Linguistic Programming, and it's a way that we can help the subconscious and the conscious be more balanced by the words that we use. It's also a tool that we can help not trigger the subconscious. The sales process can be very triggery for people, not only for the person who is leading people through it, but also for the person who's in the process, who's being served. And our goal in the process is not to step on people's triggers. It's going to happen. You're going to bring up people's crap. That's part of serving, is to get the crap up and out. but it's going to happen. So one of the things that that I've found that's actually really great, that can lower the subconscious's need to try to protect and keep somebody in the same space and maintain their current state. Your primal lizard brain does not like change, and it will do everything it can to maintain the current situation, even if it's not in your highest and greatest good, because its job is to protect you from change. And
Right.
so one little key phrase that I like to use to help people get to a place where they can really listen and get that subconscious trigger out of the way is to say, this may not be for you, but, and then lead into what you offer. Like, and that's something you can use kind of off the street, not in a deep conversation, but in an early part of a conversation where it can really be a hook. Because what it does is say to the person, I'm not going to be sold to, I'm going to be served. And they kind of relax into what comes next in the conversation, so they can really hear the offer, because they're hearing it with a filter of, this may not be for you, but people kind of automatically be like, but I want it to be for me. So they're really peaked in their listening, and it lets you not feel salesy, which is what most people's fear is when they come to work with me around their sales, is like, I hate selling. I don't want to be salesy. I don't want to be pushy. And with COVID right now, people's biggest fear is being pushy and taking advantage of where people are at right now. And I really would love to see people in service let go of that. You're not taking advantage of anyone. One last little tip I'll offer on that point is, if you're afraid of being salesy, my experience is the being salesy station isn't even on your radio dial. If that's something you're afraid of, it's not something you really even have access to, and you wouldn't be that even if you tried, because you just don't have that frequency within you. And I think it's important for people to remember that.
That's true. That's true. So that last tip that you gave kind of sounded like a Jedi mind trick thing, with the whole, like the takeaway, right? The whole, that's kind of cool.
It is a little bit of a Jedi mind trick, and that's what's beautiful about NLP. And I weave a lot of NLP language in, and I think it's important to note, depending on where you're at on that, or what level of depth of knowledge you have. Some people feel like that can be manipulative. And I think that it's important to call forward that manipulation and influence are two very different things. And I don't do manipulation, but I do influence. And influence is where we are helping somebody navigate their head trash, their tactical circumstances, whatever it is, in their highest and greatest good, to get the thing they say they want. You have something that they want, or they wouldn't still be in this conversation with you. And we have to remember that our job is to help them get what they say they want. And so if we can employ any kind of resource or tool to help them look at their problem from a different angle and to get the solution faster, that's our job. That's the journey that we lead them on, is being their highest and greatest self.
Wow. That was awesome. That was that is outstanding. I mean, I really, really, really enjoy this. I could talk to you forever, as you know. I really enjoy this, and I really, first of all, I want to thank you for coming, and I want to try to invite you back, because I feel there's so much knowledge that you can impart and help these people, that I would love to have you back. But in the meantime, I want you guys to go over to the mavenfiles.com/3secrets and get her free report there, because I think it's going to help you guys. Any last parting words before we say goodbye to these fine folks here?
Well, thank you, first of all, so much for having me here. And I would absolutely love the opportunity to come back and connect with you, and also speak with your audience. And I think my parting words, again, would just be to reiterate to everyone that it really, truly is now more important forever than for you to be visible and for you to continue to market. I think historically speaking, there's a lot of statistics. I shared this in a recent class that I taught in my business program, but there's a lot of historical statistics that tell us that during times of downturned economy, recessions, or social unrest, the business owners who stay visible, who can keep investing in their marketing and their advertising, are the ones who come out the other side the strongest. And I just want everyone to be sharing their gifts and their talents with the world and serving the people that you're meant to serve. And now is just as important, if not more, than any other time. So I really want to encourage everybody to stay visible.
Yep, that's true. I say that all the time. As a matter of fact, I dedicated a podcast episode talking about staying visible and how to do it from a digital marketing standpoint. That is,
and you're the master guru in that arena. And I think everybody should sit up and take note.
Well, thank you very much. So on that note, I am going to bid farewell to this episode. I hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful weekend. This is the last weekend of May. I cannot believe. Can you believe we're actually entering the last month of the quarter already? Unbelievable. Of the second quarter, the last month of the second quarter, excuse me. And so that starts next week, but enjoy the weekend. I know we're out there we're slowly opening up the economy in this great country of ours. So be safe out there. And until next week, this has been Marketing Solutions for Local Businesses. My name is Frank Deming, the local business guy, and you were just blessed by the great balance maven herself, Jennifer Flynn. Everyone, peace out.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Marketing Solutions for Local Businesses, the podcast where you will discover all the latest and greatest digital marketing tools, tips, and strategies you will need to implement in order to stay ahead of your competition. Don't forget, any links that were mentioned during the broadcast will be available to you in the show notes, so be sure to grab them while you have the chance. Incidentally, if you have any topics that you would like for us to discuss on the show, be sure to send an email to the email provided in the show notes, or click the Contact Us link and let us know what topic you would like us to help you with, and we'll be sure to add it to our schedule. If you would like for Frank and his team to look at your digital marketing presence and give you a free evaluation, simply click the Request a Free Consultation link in the show notes to get a hold of them. That being said, until our next episode, make it a successful digital marketing day. Peace out.